Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play Allied General. I'm the Mysterious JG. We spent the last video showing different endings of the opening campaign, but it's time for the British to move on from a major victory over the Italians for the first showdown with the Germans, not counting that whole Dunkirk thing, which is not great in this game.
Sir, High Command extends its congratulations. The Italian Commander Supremo expected a swift resolution in this theater, though not this particular outcome.
They
This
probably
decisive
should have
victory
proceeded
over
them.
a sizable Axis force bodes well for the future. They say we must remain vigilant, however. Reports indicate that Jerry is about. In the past weeks, he has established a considerable presence in the west near Agheila, and will no doubt launch an offensive in the near future. I suspect that the German general will not be so feckless as his Italian predecessor.
Now you need to bear in mind, folks. Jerry is about as British for Jerry is, around present somewhere. It doesn't mean it's not an incomplete sense. Jerry is about 6 feet tall. He's in his mid-40s. Like, no, it's not. They're not talking about that. Also, yeah, the Italian Commander Supremo. I don't know how they were expecting to do against the British Expeditionary Force, if that's even what they were called. But I mean, I vaguely remember reading in history books that they had to deploy chemical weapons dropped from airplanes against the Ethiopian army because they weren't doing very well fighting on the ground against the Ethiopians. And I'm not trying to knock Africans as a people or anything like that, but the Ethiopian army was not equipped to, with the same weapons that you would think the Italians would have had access to. Certainly that included gas masks, because it was already against international law to use gas weapons by the time World War II was rolling around. But yeah, that was kind of an ugly episode in the history of World War II, which otherwise was just a squeaky clean affair without a lot of other issues. Might as well, before we get going, somebody kind of made the comment in passing about, I had not even read about this, the clean Wehrmacht theory, but yeah, I looked it up after somebody kind of mentioned it, and nothing that I read about it was in the least bit surprising. But, the Germans have not certainly cornered the idea of sticking your fingers in your ears and going blah, 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 blah when people talk about parts of your national history that are not comfortable. This is not anything the Germans invented, so let's move on. But let's beat up the Germans with some Italian backup as they attack El Agheila. Allied turn 1, 13 turns remaining. Clear weather, dry ground. That's one thing about the North African missions. You pretty much always have clear weather and dry ground. Deploy your units for the next scenario. Well, let's take a look at what we've got before we deploy. We do have a Mosquito unit, fighter bomber. Yeah, we're not given very much to work with here. That is not. We have a unit in Benghazi. Hillary lied and people died. But, yeah, the 91st Great Britain Infantry is going to be completely overwhelmed. We do not have even the option to deploy forces up here to try to keep Benghazi. And holding Benghazi is not a major objective in this scenario. I meant to look up what the major victory conditions are. I think we're supposed to actually not just hold our objectives, but take Mersa Brega and El Agheila to get a major victory here. And that's a tall order. Like, stymieing the German advance is one thing. Defeating their army outright and advancing into other cities is a different discussion. But what we're going to want to do here is, they're not really going to flank us. Yeah, I mean, Tobruk is like the main city here, with Bardia and Sidi Barani as well. I'm trying to look at the map here. I guess in the last mission, we took Tobruk, and the final objective was Benghazi. But now the Germans are basically in El Agheila and Mersa Brega. So what we really need to do to get a minor victory... Oh, I'll just say here's a major difference between this game and Panzer General and how I'm going to play them. People in Panzer General, when I played that like a decade ago, would sometimes complain that I would go for major victories in scenarios where they would say you should go for a minor victory. That'll give you more turns to overstrength your forces. You'll get more opportunities to gain experience. You'll see more of the game. All those are legitimate arguments, but at the time I was like, no, I'm just going to try to do as well on each campaign as I can. Allied General throws some campaigns at you where major victory is extremely difficult. Minor victory is far more practical. And I'm kind of going with the approach that people threw at me before, like trying to get, like settling for minor victory in some of these places makes a lot of sense, actually. And this is an example of one. Like, yeah, I do kind of want to see as many of the scenarios as possible because all of the because it's split between West and East. Both of the main campaigns you can do, British from start of the war to finish and Russian, are shorter than the Panzer General campaign is anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and play for minor victory in some of these places, and this is definitely one. So we're going to have a strategy of putting most of our defensive forces into Brook and putting a few units down here to try to hold this airfield. They're going to try to hit Tobruk, and a few of them might try to go south and kind of flank. But if we just have some stuff here that can fight in the open desert and entrenched units here, we're going to be fine. For a minor victory. If we wanted a major victory, we would have to find a way to defeat their armor quickly in the open field and rapidly advance on Agheila, which that's really hard. So we'll go with this instead. We get our infantry here. What else have we got to work with? We don't have that big of an army. Now we've got a Matilda too. We could upgrade that, but I might want to just wait a battle until we're on offense. This unit I bought this way intentionally. Upgrading it to a Matilda 2 would cost the full cost. Keeping it even though this is as expensive as a Matilda 2, almost upgrading it to Matilda 2 would be expensive. So this one has movement 5, initiative 7. This one is better. It seems to be better, but it costs less. Movement 5, movement 6. This one must have worse combat values. 5, 8. 5 soft, 8 hard. 3 soft, 8 hard. And then defense. They got the same defense. This one's a little better about infantry. This one's a little better against infantry and doesn't move as fast. So we won't upgrade it. We'll just leave it as it is. But I think what we're going to want to do is, rather than this Matilda, I think eventually I'll want to upgrade the Matilda to have better movement. But right now it's got ground defense 14, hard attack 8. It's not really better at destroying tanks than this unit is, but it's way harder to kill. So for now on this defensive mission, I think we'll stick with that. Because what I'd like to do is just park it on the airfield so that nobody can take the airfield. Alright, so that's all of our army deployed. How many core units can we buy? We can buy 2. What can we afford? What I'd like to do... So, you're going to see over the course of this fight that this Mosquito, we have one. It's already got 1-star experience. It's already over strength. These guys are fantastic. The thing with the British bombers is that they don't really get better as the campaign goes on. They open up with tactical bombers that are really good, and then as the campaign goes on and ground units get better air defense and better ability to fight back against air, they kind of aren't quite as powerful in the late game as they are in the early game, and they don't really get replaced with bombers that are that much stronger. But the Mosquitoes are amazing because you got these two, whatever the full name of these bombers are. These are like traditional tactical bombers. The Mosquito's like a fighter bomber. It's kind of like what Hitler's vision of the Me-262. Is that the Sturmvogel, or am I getting them mixed up? That's the Sturmvogel, because the Comet is the crazy fucking rocket powered one. The Sturmvogel, the 262 Stormbird, it was this incredible. It could have been an incredible fighter, or it could have been an incredible tactical bomber for just like getting in, taking out Allied tanks, and getting back out. Hitler wanted it to be able to do everything, and he kept like changing the requirements if he wanted what he wanted this thing to do. And it's one of those examples of Hitler messing things up for the Wehrmacht. But the Mosquito kind of seems to fit the bill. It's got initiative of 5, and like the fighters have initiative of 5. Like you'll see, like our level bomber, air attack in brackets 8. That means it does air attack of 8, but it can't initiate air combat. If anybody attacks it from the air, like a fighter's attack it, its anti-fighter guns will inflict 8. And because it's got low initiative, it actually has pretty high initiative. But like if fighters attack it, there's a decent chance it'll get to fire first, and it'll attack with a value of 8. But it can't initiate combat against fighters. I think the same goes for these 2 tactical bombers. Yeah. The Mosquito is characterized as a tactical bomber because it has soft attack 7, hard attack 6. But it has the stats of a fighter, and it can initiate air combat. So it's basically this, like, it can do whatever you need it to do other than act as a level bomber, because level bombers in this game follow different rules from tactical bombers. But yeah, it's just fucking great. So we definitely want one. The other thing but they're super expensive. The other thing that we want, though, is start building up fighters. And the problem as I see it right now is I can't afford to get a fighter. I can afford to get 2 fighters on this first turn. I can't afford to get a fighter and a tactical bomber because tactical bombers are so freaking expensive. So I can either get 2 fighters and wait for the next battle to start building up a tactical bomber, or I can get a fighter now and maybe get a tactical bomber in the middle of this scenario. That's probably the smart move. But as you see, yeah, the tactical bomber that we'd want to get would definitely be the Mosquito. It's the most expensive unit that we can possibly get at this point. I think it's more expensive than a level bomber. Yeah, it's a lot more expensive than a level bomber. So, and I think it's certainly more expensive than any of our tanks. Yeah, way more expensive than a tank unit. It's the most expensive thing we can get, but as you can see, soft attack 7, hard attack 6, air attack 14. So fighter has soft attack 1, hard attack 1. They're not meant for attacking ground targets. You can strafe them, you can reduce entrenchment, but that's not what they're for. But an air attack 12... This thing has better air attack than my fighters. Why would I even buy a fighter, you ask? Well, the fighters will get better. I can start building up experience in a fighter unit and then upgrade to more advanced late-game fighters and eventually have really powerful fighters at the end of the game to maintain air supremacy. Whereas, again, the Mosquito is great, but it's not going to get any better. But yeah, it's actually better fighting against fighters because it's got the same initiative as my fighter. Its air defense of my fighter is 12. Air defense of this bomber is 14. Yeah, like the Mosquitoes are just the best. Maybe I should buy one of those immediately, actually. Yeah, I'll buy one and I'll save up for a fighter. Because they are like the best frickin' thing that we can possibly do right now. And I don't have enough prestige left to do anything. So I'm not going to use map reveal, but there's a big army here. With a lot of tanks and stuff. These guys can't even get out fast enough, probably. So our whole strategy is going to be because there's German fighter planes out there too. So we do want to be at least a little bit careful. We can use our prestige to buy... No, whatever we buy next will be a core unit. Because when core units are available, anything you buy becomes a core unit. You can't buy... Like, I couldn't say, I want to buy an auxiliary infantry unit and continue to save up for a fighter. Anything I buy now will become a core unit. So we need to just hold a turn. And see what happens. Yeah, they're already beating up my retreating infantry with their at least nothing else should be able to reach. Well, never mind. they're immediately able to reach my infantry. But this is fun. We are already seeing, that's a German tactical bomber, I believe. Can I get info on them? Yeah, that's a German tactical bomber. We also have a German fighter that reached us and decided not to initiate combat. It sort of came up here in a position where it's controlling our movement. But I think the reason they didn't initiate combat, they've got less experience. You can see here they've got initiative of, is that 5 or 6? They got better initiative than we do. It's really hard to tell with that. But we would be expected to win that fight. This one would be an even matchup. So what we really want to do here, actually, I don't like leaving those fighters in the air. But let's just take their bombers out using our bombers, which are like fighter bombers. Because that'll also give cheap experience to this unit. Even though they managed to lose somebody disgustingly. They've just decided to start moving their infantry through here without they're just moving infantry right through here with blatant disregard. I'm getting... Oh, I forced them to take that city, actually. That was kind of a silly... that was kind of an odd move on reflection. Do we have enough to buy a fighter plane now? No, but we're getting closer. I think I want to buy the Spitfire too. We'll be upgrading that to something better later. What is the difference between these? Hurricane we can almost afford. These are the same price. This has more fuel. This has weaker air defense. Looks like the Spitfire 2 is just slightly better, very slightly better. But they're extremely similar. Either way, I can't afford it yet. So yeah, some of the defensive campaigns, you just spend a lot of time sitting back and waiting for them to slowly, ineffectively approach. Because we do not have the... I don't think we have the forces to get really aggressive here. If we had, like, a lot of armor, maybe. But we have lost a city to them. I don't know if I can just dissolve that unit to avoid losing the... Hey, recon has become available. Recon's actually... British recon unit isn't terrible. I think what I want to do now... is hope for the best against the fighter. There's a lot of luck involved in air combat in this game. Whoever gets the first shot off is going to win. Unless they, like, only have 2 unit strength. But yeah, you see that, like, we've lost, like, every freaking air initiative battle with these guys. And they don't seem to have gained any experience yet, which I don't understand. Experience 7. But they've... wiped out 2 units. Is this a terrible idea? Tanks are not usually good for, like, defending and holding cities, but... $352. Can I buy that Spitfire now? Yes, I can. Now that I've wiped out all the air units that it would be fighting against, but it can still shoot at things. Can I disband you guys? Just to avoid the prestige loss. I've only got 40 prestige. Maybe I'll just take a shot at this. That was, didn't work out. The thing is, also in Panzer General, I was obsessed with never losing units. Yeah. There are campaigns in this where, like, yeah, this unit started so far out ahead of all the other British forces, there's really just no way to save it. You can disband it on the first turn if you want, which is what I probably should have done. Anyway, we can't get any more core units. The only reason to do... These are super cheap. I could get a little anti-tank unit and just place it here. But honestly, with span of control, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to maneuver up here and attack this artillery. They'd have to get past these tanks, which right now they're not doing anyway, so... Those tanks may have to pull back eventually. I'm just trying to... They've split their forces. They got a lot going up that north path. Maybe we will be able to counterattack and take some stuff from them. Yeah, I was a little afraid of this. Because, like, shelling my tanks from a distance is a very safe way for them to whittle them down. And the 81st British Infantry, we kind of always knew we would lose. Yeah, I probably want to get those tanks out of there before they get encircled. The other thing is now my Air Force is free to just do nothing but bomb their tanks. Still, that's a core unit. It's getting good combat experience. I don't want to lose it. Alright, no indications so far of any more British Air Forces arriving, so I need to think about what the best way to use some of these forces is. What are the odds of you wiping that unit out for me? Low. Oh, that looks excellent. Those guys just have really low air defense. You don't generally want to... Wow, we managed to lose 2 fighters to ground transports. Yuck. Oh, Jen Psaki, alert. Thanks, Jen Psaki. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Yeah, it's going to be tough to retreat out of here. That's the situation I've created for myself. I've made it to where it would be very tough for these guys to withdraw safely. I should not have advanced them the way that I did. I'm going to try to pull them back without... If I pull the Matilda in there, it's going to get even more encircled, though. Fuck me, I'm losing some dice rolls here for sure. See if I can pull him back to here. Some kind of safety. Once they hit here, they're just going to get stuck because they're not... These guys are going to be well entrenched. They're going to get these projected losses that the AI will not accept and won't attack. They'll tend to just sit here and not want to get shelled and then attacked by entrenched infantry, and they'll pause. My thing now is I shouldn't have let that... I shouldn't have stuck this tank there to hold that city for a couple of turns, because now it's going to be very difficult to get them out safely. But maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe things will go more smoothly than I thought. The air is going to be really key towards softening up the most threatening units. Oh, that went my way very nicely. But this is where I could be in trouble. Because, yeah, there were... Oh, boy. How do I get them back out of there? They're gonna freaking run out of ammo. I don't know how I get them out of there. I think I just... Yeah, I think I've lost this core unit. Early in the game for me to be making that kind of mistake. If I can eliminate this unit and this unit... No. I'd have to get rid of this unit, and this unit for them to be able to get out. This is going to be... yeah, this is going to be really difficult. Let's see... I'm really annoyed that they almost had a chance to... Oh, here we go. This could be a great start. Could we possibly blow you up with artillery? Nope. Okay. We may actually have this after all. Because now if I can wipe out this unit, they can go here and then just get out this way. As long as they get behind this tank, they should be okay. I really need this Matilda to take this unit out, though. That's a bad start. Can you get them to retreat or something? Forgot about defensive artillery. That's part of the problem here. Thought I had a shot. I needed to get these guys to withdraw, and I didn't. Alright. That did go the way I wanted it to. But maybe we'll get lucky on the next turn. The next video. I really don't want to... Because they've got a lot of experience now. I'm really trying desperately to avoid losing my core units. But how far are you willing to go? I mean, that's just silly. Is there any way they can survive another turn and withdraw? Because these guys are going to close up. These guys will move down a hex, probably. I mean, if I move them and move them, like I'd be making like oh, you know what? I got one more unit that hasn't moved this fighter plane. There's not much they can do to be useful here, though. That's an Italian gun. They're not really going to be able to help with the tank situation. So we'll go ahead and save that in this slot. When we come back next time, it's just possible we can find a way to save these guys. They've got so much experience now. It's kind of crazy. And part of it was because they were in all that intense fighting there. They've got way more experience than anyone else in my army. But I have a real bad feeling about whether or not we'll be able to keep them alive. Oh, well, catch you guys next time.